Hi, my name is Adamus. Today I will explain to you what ethically aligned design is. Please feel free to pause the video here to familiarize yourself with these important definitions. Let us first understand what ethically aligned design is. According to the IEEE white paper, it is a design framework for high-level ethical concerns that apply to software and hardware. Some examples of AIS. In the picture, we see a caretaker robot that helps people feel less lonely during a treatment. It could help people's well-being, but it could also hurt them. An AI chatbot, which can answer pretty much any question. It is a useful tool, but it can also lie. It is not clear what is the idea until you consider the full picture of AIS. The white paper indicates a need for a framework by which the three core values, maximum benefit for human and environment, protection of human rights, and risk mitigation are embedded to design, manufacture, and use of AIS. Based on the three key values, 5 key principles in the design are identified. Human rights. The basis for this is international laws, since generally AIS is deployed internationally. AIS should be verifiably safe. It should be possible to find who, like person or institution or a company, is responsible in case of accidents. Well-being. The problem is, how do we know what works well for humans? Currently, a measure being used is GDP. If a system is making GDP grow, then it is good, right? The white paper suggests that we need better metrics, or what are known as KPIs, key performance indicators, ones that truly reflect everyone's well-being, rather than just monetary incentive. Accountability. The white paper suggests that to establish proper accountability, especially in cases of accidents, the public needs to understand how the system works. This includes how it is developed, how it is manufactured, and what are its capabilities. Transparency. AI should be designed in such a way that allows to answer the following questions. Why a system acted in such a way, how it was verified, and in case of accidents, something conceptually similar to a black box seen on airplanes, which stores system critical information for accident investigation. And finally, technology misuse and risks. AIS is used in hacking, gaming, which means AIS is made to do something it is not intended for. Exploitation of vulnerable users, generally targeted attacks. They're typically remedied by EU and UK GDPR. However, public should be informed about any risk arising from the use of that technology. It is quite difficult to implement laws alone. Laws require human interpretation. Ethical design does not simply adhere to laws, but also can have ethical considerations. However, which ethics do we consider? To establish non-monopolized framework, the white paper suggests incorporating features from classical and diverse ethical practices. Classic ethics theory of Aristotle is based on good or bad narrative in sense of functionality. This is known as virtue theory. However, an agent can only know if something is good by experimentation, thus it is hard to validate for AI systems. And ethics suggest that there is no such thing as good or bad, only good willingness by following duty. To conceptualize, best think of this as the golden rule. However, the Kantian ethics are absolutist, i.e., you should always act based on imperative, so paradoxes can arise. Buddhism has a specific end goal known as state of nirvana. To reach this state, all actions are evaluated based on a relational set of rules. Possibly these rules could be interpreted for AIS. Shinto is a Japanese religious belief system. Particularly, we can focus on belief that everything that is created has a spirit. Perhaps we could design robots that are more humanistic. Confucian and Ubuntu ethics, while vastly different concepts, both focus on fundamental need for other people in our lives. For AIS, this could be interpreted as the need for designers, communities, and governments to all talk and agree. To allow for a diverse ethical system, we would possibly have to interpret it and adapt those philosophies, especially when they contradict each other. For example, the gaps that arise from absolutism of Kant's philosophy could be filled in by interpretation of Buddhism. Let's talk about ethics in autonomous weapon systems, or AWS. According to International Committee of the Red Cross, it is any weapon with autonomy in its critical functions, like identifying, tracking, selecting, or destroying targets. It is important to understand what they are and are not. Iron Dome in Jerusalem is an autonomous system because human does not intervene once the system is started. Teleoperated drones are not, and what general issues AWS cause. Most significantly, enforceability of international law is difficult. Engineers should make best efforts to enforce complicity. It is also hard to find ethical arguments for killing people. Absolutist philosophies like Kant's would completely prohibit this, while using relational rules of Buddhism would be a massive misinterpretation of the religion. Imagine seeing AWS fighting AWS. The escalation could be quicker than any human could react. Also, people could avoid responsibility, hiding behind technology. For example, let's imagine the example of Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. If Truman flew to Japan and slaughtered 200,000 people with a sword, it would have looked different than dropping 2 bombs.